Alright, I have to already apologize because I'm recording this on my phone, but my camera broke, so kind of deal with it. Alright, so what I'm doing here, I'm actually installing a short throw shifter in my Dodge SRT4. It's 2004. Now the difference between this shifter and other shifters is normally you just replace the rod. Here it's actually an entire assembly because it comes with the rod brake. So what that does is that when you shift, it stops the rod from extending too far, and what that allows you to do is once you shift and the cables are actually selected and the gear is engaged, it stops it from going any further. And basically what that allows you to do is that way you don't accidentally bird cage or stretch out the cables. Those shifter cables, they're not cheap, and they're definitely not a performance upgrade, so kind of wasting money if you do that there. Also, to go with it, I have these Booger bushings, and what they do is they feel like they're pretty much plastic, and instead of being the rubber that's on the stock shifter, it's going to tighten up the shift linkage and keep it from, keep it from deflecting and squishing as much, basically. So it'll be a much firmer shift, and everything will work out nice. So, alright, let's get it installed. Alright, so now I have the screws removed for the whole console here. Now this console is broken up into two parts, and this is primarily an install for Dodge vehicles, but I don't know, just enjoy. It might be similar for your car as well. So the whole thing's able to come out. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the shift knob off, and on these ones you gotta just pull them apparently. And I'll figure out how to, I don't want to break it, but alright, I'm going to just yank it off here in a sec. Alright, so I finally got it off, and basically just had to hit it with a wrench from the bottom, just to kind of get it started, and then it comes off. So as you see, it's not a screw-on type, shift knob. Now the whole console should slide out. I imagine it might be easier to have it, I guess, in neutral. I have to move my seat back. Alright. Yeah, so just pulling this out here. And just putting that down there. And that boot, I'll deal with that later. So then now you have the whole shifter out, or the whole casing out. Now I actually dropped this a while ago. Alright, and looks like I found a quarter. Oh, the things you'll find. Alright, so let's see, we got this key brake. We'll want to make sure that stays in. So looks like we got 4 bolts at the ends, and that'll allow this whole shifter assembly to come right out. So go ahead and loosen those now. Remember? Okay, so basically, got it set up here. Of course, I have the top of the rod here, and down here, the whole shifter. Now, I went ahead and loosened it. I can actually just go ahead and finish taking these off. Now, in this car, if you're watching this for that type of detail, these are 13 millimeter. So American car, and half of the stupid nuts and bolts are in metric, and the other half you'll find in standard. So, and I, of course, put them somewhere that you're not going to lose them. I'll put them next to the Papa Roach and Taylor Swift. Alright, so then now your whole shifter assembly is free to come out, except for the shifter cables. So, and these are going to be a little bit more difficult to pop off. Alright, so we're going to continue getting these off here. Now I'm still sort of, I got to find the best way to get in there, but that's what we're looking at for the assembly. And as you see there, there's the solid Booger bushing in blue, and that's right, yeah, right there. So now you don't want to damage them. You usually can use like a flathead screwdriver or something like that. But of course, making sure that you apply even pressure, because especially these solid ones, they can crack. Now, if you're talking about the rubber ones, they can rip and tear. So you still want to, definitely be careful with that and not use anything sharp to wedge in there. So, and I'll get back to you here in a sec. I went ahead and put those bolts back on because it made it easier to remove that. There's a clip it goes right on that. And basically, so it looks like that, and it's a bitch to get off. The objective is to be able to remove these cables. Now these cables are still attached with the bushings, but since they're actually out now, we can start getting, we can actually get the whole thing off and rotate it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So the best way I found to move that black clip right there, let me see if I can kind of point to it a little bit better. That clip just to the left of that giant shadow that is my finger. Best way to get that out is go ahead and get some locking pliers. You definitely don't want to use regular pliers because the way your hand's going to be, you're not actually going to be able to grab anything. So coming in and grabbing them like this, so that way the handle contours up. Make sure you get a really good grasp on it. And using the frame of the shifter as a wedge. Now be careful, because if that slips off that clip, you're punching whatever's up here. So definitely be careful. Alright, so basically I got this one off. The best way to get it off that I find is don't worry so much about the plastic bracket behind there. You really don't want to risk cracking that. So don't try and use that as a wedge. Since the Booger bushings, I mean, they're $20, and I mean, shit, I accidentally bought an extra pair. So what I find might be the most useful is using this frame up here, or the frame of the shifter, and actually prying them back and out this way towards the camera in this case, and that'll actually help. And once you get that bushing out, it should just pop up, and then that'll be easy to just take out from there. So got to be careful. You might want to make sure you don't break those. All right, so to get the linkage cables out, which you have right here, what you're going to really want to be looking to doing, you're going to be lifting and then pulling back on the shifter housing here. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow these big rings that were initially inside the frame has a little hole that looks like that with an opening, and just kind of you get the large ring out and then slide it down, and then this just comes right out of the side here. So, and then that's going to be the same on both sides, and bam, there's your shifter. Alright, so I went ahead and brought the two short shifters in, and we can go ahead and take a look at the difference now. The cool thing I like about the Maddog shifter is that it actually lets you have quite a few customizable features. Now I chose the one with not only 50% less throw, but also 1 inch shorter. So what that actually does is the total throw length is about 58% shorter than the original stock shifter. Now of course it's a little bit different because the cables aren't on, and the cables actually keep it a little bit more limited than this. What I would do is then adjust these the rod brakes. Now the rod brakes, as I said before, are just keeping this from maxing out the cables and having the cables stop your shift. Rather, in this case, you've already shifted in gear, and these rod brakes keep you from over shifting. And of course, you know, rusted because it's undone, just stamped steel. Where in this case, you know, he sanded it down and powder coated it, and it actually looks pretty nice. I'm kind of thinking about not having a center console now, just because I actually like how this looks so much. But basically, so for the throw, for the normal shifter, that's the throw. So we're going from here all the way forward, and then on the shifter we have. All right, so everything's in place. Nothing's fastened. I don't have the clips in yet. Down that bolted, but over here we have, all we got to do now is put the bushings in, put the clips in, bolt it all down, and then just configure the rod brakes so that they work perfectly for the way this transmission's set up. Now even though it's a stock transmission, doesn't mean that the throw is going to be exactly the same. You know, it could actually vary quite a bit, you know, I mean, from just like the way that the position is going to be. So I don't think he has it configured perfectly straight out of the gate, but they're meant to be adjustable, so just got to adjust them. So I'm going to go ahead and put everything in right now. Alright, so what I got going on here, I went ahead and got some lithium grease. Now, I have the regular grease that's not in the spray can. I can't really find it, but at least you know, it does the same thing. It's a spray rather than getting my fingers all greasy or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and actually put the new booger bushings in. One of the booger bushings and the old one is fine. However, one of them I think I kind of cut into quite a bit. But that's fine. I mean, these are very cheap. They're $20 for a set of 4, so $5 each. It's not too bad. And then now I guess I have one blue spare just in case anything else happens, you know, with the other ones. So that'll be fine. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, just to, I guess, ease of putting them in, it's recommended that you put a little bit of grease on it. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is spray these outside of my car so I don't get grease all over my car, and that's awful and very inconvenient. Alright, so it's greased up quite well, and I don't know if you can really see too well, but I'm basically putting it in and they're quite snug, so the grease does help quite a bit. Alright, so I got the bushing in place, and now I'm just trying to get it on this the end of the shifter here, which is a little bit harder because you don't really have much leverage in such a crawl space. So I just had to put the camera down and managed to throw both my hands in there and just give it 2 thumbs and pop it in. So that's what I ended up getting to do there. With these booger bushings, you really just want to make sure that that metal piece there is actually flush with the edge of the bushing. You don't want the bushing to not be seated all the way, so that's one way to tell, is that pin right there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Alright, so as far as getting those steel clips back in place, these ones here, I find that the best way to do that is with a good set of channel locks. Now, channel locks, actually, they're the most famous brand that makes channel locks are Vice Grips. These here, and what I've done is I've actually clamped the channel locks over the collar that flushes the 2 out. That way I can actually get that pin seated in there. And I won't be able to seat it all the way, but I'll be able to get it in enough that I don't have to worry about so let me see if I can wiggle these out while holding that pin in place, or that clip. Alright. So now that allowed me to squeeze that pin. Alright, so the clip, it's not fully seated, as you can see, but it did make it much easier to get it there, and not have to yank anything out in crazy places. So definitely make sure you have some channel locks for this. It came in handy for getting the booger bushings in, and it's coming in handy for these clips as well. Okay, so go ahead and try to show you the short throw shifter. So side to side throw, and then go ahead and show you. So here's to 3rd gear, and then neutral, and then 4th. So significantly less throw, and I'll show you guys kind of a side by side from going from here into 3rd. Yeah, it's much shorter. I have to say, overall, I do love it. does make driving much more fun. Yeah, so overall, I really love it. It's a great thing to have. You know, definitely much quicker, much firmer shifts. Although it does have a couple of drawbacks, I have to say that I don't know if it's just the spring, but it's unusually stiff, even for side-to-side motion. And then of course, third gear, fourth gear while driving. I mean, if the RPMs match, you know, if you're essentially the equivalent of double clutching. If your RPMs match, then it's easy going into gear, no problem at all. But if you're trying to downshift, it can be a little difficult. It's very firm, and you have to really yank it. So I would say it's definitely a good thing. It's just that I feel like it can be a little cumbersome for daily driving. So for me though, I mean, I really don't mind. I like being I'm kind of a driver's car kind of guy. I like being able to really, drive my car, and I really like being able to enjoy it. So this is definitely something to help bring you, more one-to-one with your car, one-to-one with the road, and it's just a great install to have. It definitely makes things a lot more fun, and hopefully it'll help out in the track come the spring. So be looking forward to videos from the racetrack and other things like that. Keep watching. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll have a couple more videos coming up here probably in the next 2 weeks. So look forward to that. All right. So hope you guys enjoyed everything, and hope you learned something.